Okay. So for me, like I've always had that entrepreneur mindset because I grew up in a flea market family. Remember before eBay, people would go around and do garbage picking?
Yeah.
Remember when we were kids, people would be picking in your garbage if you throw a whole bunch of stuff out there? So my parents used to take us around 3 nights a week. My grandma and my mom, because my mom's side, white trash is a motherfucker. And I'm probably going to get some dirty stuff. I don't really talk to any of them anymore because they have problems. But we used to go around and pick out of the garbage and then go to flea markets.
Yeah.
And have yard sales. And so then in 1984, when the Tigers won the World Series, I was like, this is cool. I was 8 years old, right? That was awesome.
I remember.
You were like 15, right?
Stop.
So
84.
84. The roar of 84.
I was 10, dude.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I'm only 2 years older.
Yeah, a little less than 2 years, actually.
That's right.
Are you 50 yet?
Stop. No. This year.
All right.
Please don't take any more time from me, Jay.
America. Well, you're going to live till 100 or something.
Probably 50.
I hope it's 50. Like while you're riding your motorcycle or something. But anyway, so like I always like had this entrepreneur. Like I saw this buying and selling thing, really. And then I started collecting baseball cards and I started putting baseball cards out. And like I was selling the toys I got for Christmas for like 10 cents on the dollar. My parents were pissed. I sold all my Star Wars stuff.
Oh yeah.
Bad, right? Like bad. I remember selling it on the corner in my apartment complex, the one we just drove by.
Dude, you know how much that stuff's probably worth?
It was in Brownstown here. What? Yeah.
The Star Wars stuff?
Yeah.
I already know.
Yeah.
My parents gave it all mine away.
It was good. I try to buy every time I see one of the items that I sold, I actually buy it no matter the cost. Do you really? And I have stuff stashed.
What's your favorite Star Wars action figure that you
have?
Well,
you know what? It was Luke Skywalker until
which one?
Mark
Hamill until he endorsed Joe Biden a couple weeks ago.
Gosh,
and
dude.
I was like, you're a fuck. What the fuck is... Stay out of it. You know what I mean? You're Luke Skywalker. You were my hero. So I like Obi-Wan. Yeah, you know. But Darth Vader is like...
Dude, my favorite action figure was that robot that put Luke's hand back on.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? He had like the glass chest.
Yeah, like right under here.
Yeah. There was just a robot, and they sold him. I can't remember what it was like C35712-2.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So I did all that shit, and like we were very poor. My dad was a high-low driver. My mom was a waitress. We didn't have stuff. I remember us getting our electricity shut off. I remember getting kicked out. One time I got kicked out. We got evicted for not paying, but one time we got evicted because I went around every apartment complex and opened the spouts on the side of and we had water running everywhere and we flooded the place. But that was like the final straw. I did all kinds of dumb shit. Anyway, so then my mom was a waitress, and so as I was always had the entrepreneurship thing, I started working at Denny's. I did McDonald's and I got into Denny's, but through the process, I realized that there was a market share open in distribution.
Yeah. So
from the time I was 16 till I was 19, I got it to about 5, 10, 15 pounds a week. It was illegal, right?
Yeah.
So I was a guy, but it was more like, it wasn't like I used to do coke, and I had a coke addiction, and I did a lot of LSD, which I think contributed ultimately to my depression that I've dealt with, and other things too. The voices, yeah, I'll tell them. But like that's one story. But in regards to the entrepreneurship story, when I had to quit selling drugs, and that's like another story, right? But I started selling Beanie Babies and Hot Wheels and Star Wars again.
Dude, I remember.
I went back to my roots.
Yeah.
And I built it to where 3 years in a row I sold like $500,000 in toys, but mostly Beanie Babies because those things were fucking cranking.
Yeah, dude. I remember when you were doing that, Jay, when we were younger.
Yeah, I was touring with Madison Green, the band.
Yeah, you were killing it.
I was going to your guys' concerts, and I was working like 6 days a month, but I was doing side deals. Like I would drive to Pennsylvania. Okay, this is how Susie and I, my wife, courted. We were friends. She was actually hot after someone else that was in the band and realized I was the real man.
That's right.
So anyway, we would drive to Pennsylvania, meet this guy in the back of a Bob Evans, and I would hand him like 25, 30. I think the most I handed him one time was 60,000 in cash, and we would fill the car with Beanie Babies.
Dude, that is nuts.
And I would flip it, and I'd make 10,000, 15,000 just. But so I did that, and then, 9/11 happened. So, when, George Bush, the Christian and Republican, was in office, like the Beanie Baby business dropped out and everything dropped out. But I had at that point had just gotten married when things went sour. So what did I do? Well, we took about a year off because we had a bunch of money, but then we were broke because we were stupid, right?
It all went.
It all went. It was all that Outback Steakhouse. I used to take him when I was a single dad for like 2 years. I would take him 5 nights a week. We'd go to Outback Steakhouse or Red Robin.
Oh, yeah.
But I was spending like me and him going out to eat. It'd be like $50 then.
Oh, that's a lot back then, dude.
That's what I'm saying. I went to Outback with all my family the other day. It was $3.50.
Oh, I know, dude. $50 now barely get you an omelet and a cup of coffee.
$20 at a Coney Island.
crazy.
So anyway, we took about a year off. We were broke. We both got jobs. She got a job as a waitress, my wife, and then I got a job at a Jet's Pizza at $7 an hour.
Wow.
But I couldn't get a job as a server. They wouldn't hire me. I don't know if I remember sitting in an Applebee's and I got interviewed, and this fat ass motherfucker was interviewing me, and he was a dick. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm gonna get this job. And I know it was a good interview, but I was like, and I seen all the little girls around, right? I was like, he doesn't want no guy working here. He's got it made with all these little cuties running around, right? So I couldn't get a job as a server, and I had a ton of experience. Like,
right.
So I was 25. I'd already had 10 years experience. So I'm like, holy shit. So I answered an ad to a Jet's Pizza, and I happened to know the guy. I used to buy Beanie Babies off him.
Wow.
Well, these Beanie Baby people would own Hallmark stores, and they were only allowed, they would pay $2, but they were only allowed to sell for $6, but I would give them like $1,000 for them.
Wow.
So they would like black market shit, right? And this was before eBay. And so I was like, hey, I know you. Yeah, we know each other. He's like, yeah, I'm opening my second Jet's Pizza. I was like, all right, great. And by this time, I'm like, I'll take anything. I was married. I had a 5-year-old son, and my wife was pregnant, and we were fucking broke. And she was working as a waitress remember that restaurant Dolce Vita?
Yeah.
Yeah, she quit because they were really because of her faith. But my wife was like a Jesus thumper back then. She'd like carry her Bible and fucking hit you with it. It was bad.
I think that's awesome.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think that I know you.
It's come full circle though, right?
It's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not dogging on that.
No,
at all.
I know what
I'm
you're
just
saying, though.
that they actually pushed her out.
Oh, really?
So because of that, but I thought. I'm like, you got to go work and like serve the spaghetti. You know what I mean? I said, just go work and make money. I'm a little bit calmer about it. But anyway, so I ended up getting a job at a Jet's Pizza. That's for $7 an hour. And I was the oldest guy and I was the third manager. And 6 months later, I was the general manager.
That's awesome, dude.
It was, but this is how I become the general manager. By then, I was doing everything, but it was the owner's son who was the GM, and he owned a part of the store. And he was a nice kid. He was 22 years old, but he just made bad decisions. He was a partier. So one night, it's Sunday night, I'll never forget, and we were slammed, and he comes in, and he goes, hey, man, give me some money out of the safe, because we had a lot of petty cash then, stuff. And I was like, go get it yourself. Because when he'd come in drunk, it'd piss me off because I was straight and narrow there. I mean, I love beers and I'm pro marijuana now. But back then I was like straight and narrow because I had 3 years out of a cocaine addiction. You know what I mean? And so he comes in. He's like, give me the money. I was like, just go in the safe and get it. And he's like, he's the owner. He's like, I don't know the comm. I was like, you don't know the fucking comm. Now I understand. I actually don't know the comm to any safes in any of my restaurants. I'll be like, I need to get something out. I'll text my 16-year-old who's one of our leaders, and I'll be like, Connor, what's the code to the safe? What's the code to the alarm? Shit. Anyway, so I gave him money, $200 or $300. I closed and then I opened the next day, 9 a.m. I walked in like 8:30, phones ringing. It's his sister-in-law. So brother, wife, young brother-in-law, screaming, Britt's dead.
Oh, man, dude.
Dead. So he OD'd on the fucking money that I gave him.
Wow.
But it was his money. But, I felt guilty for a minute. But, I'm not guilty about it. But how sad. But he was a real nice guy. So I ended up becoming the GM. Then I became a district manager. We opened another store. We became a partner. And then I just felt I needed to spread my wings. And I think, like I said earlier, 50% was I was right and 50% I was wrong, because I think sometimes young entrepreneurs, and I'm so thankful for these guys that they aren't like this often, they are, where they're just so ambitious that they're not patient in the journey. You know what I mean? So I would have made a lot more money and had less pain if I would have stayed with the guy that knew what he was doing, even though he was kind of a tyrant, but I could deal with him now. I like dealing with tyrants now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just because I'm older. I understand everybody's different.
Hindsight's 20/20, man.
Yeah, so I sold my shares from that company. I only lasted a year, and I was like a district manager, and I went and opened my own store in Chelsea, Michigan. And I didn't have enough money. I was $100,000 short. I had to racked up my food bill with, God bless Sofo Foods. They would never do this now, but they put a cramp on things, to $80,000 because I had to pay the contractors.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. From the moment that you became the general manager of that Jets to the moment that you opened up your Jets in Chelsea, how much time had passed? How
5 years.
You did that in 5 years? Okay, that's pretty significant, man.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Most companies fail within 2 years.
Yeah.
But you successfully went from a general manager to an owner.
Well, assistant manager to an owner.
But you did it all in 5 years.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that means that you did a crash course in training as general manager, assistant manager, opened a shop, Jets, and it succeeded. You're an anomaly. That's not normal.